The Grand Assembly of Worlds fell silent as Admiral Sarah Chen's footsteps echoed across the crystalline floor. 2,000 seats, arranged in concentric circles, rose from the ground level to the distant ceiling. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization watched her approach, their varied anatomies all oriented toward the central podium. Her pristine white uniform reflected the soft amber light from above, each medal and commendation catching the glow like distant stars. The neural interface at the base of her skull pulsed with a gentle blue light, matching her heartbeat. Within her enhanced memory, 2,000 ships waited to be named. The Mediator, a towering being of pure energy contained within an ornate environmental suit, spoke first. Admiral Chen of the Human Defense Fleet, you stand before this assembly to provide testimony regarding the Battle of Proxima's Edge. Please state your purpose. Sarah's voice carried clearly through the chamber. I come to bear witness. Her words triggered murmurs among the delegates. The Mediator's energy form flickered with interest. The standard procedure, the Mediator continued, is to submit tactical data and strategic analysis to the Assembly's archives. Why have you requested a personal audience? A slight smile crossed Sarah's face. Because data can be corrupted. Statistics can be manipulated. But what I carry here, she touched the neural interface, is something more valuable. Truth preserved in living memory. The cephalid representative, their tentacles rippling with bioluminescent patterns, leaned forward. Our records indicate your neural augmentation is a standard Human Defense Fleet command interface. How does this qualify as evidence? The interface records everything, Sarah explained, her hand still resting on the device. Every ship's signature, every tactical decision, every moment of the battle. But it does more than record. It makes those memories part of who I am. I don't just remember the battle. I lived it, and I will never forget it. The assembly chambers erupted in overlapping translations as various species discussed this revelation. The Mediator raised a glowing appendage for silence. Admiral, they said, you claim to remember every detail of destroying 2,000 ships. Not claim, Sarah corrected gently. I remember every ship, every signature, every moment they cease to exist. Would you like me to demonstrate? Without waiting for a response, she closed her eyes. Crystalline Vessel Registry 1138 Alpha 7. Destroyed at 3:42 hours Standard Time. Command crew of 12. Unique harmonic signature in the upper gamma range. Their final transmission was a request for targeting data. She opened her eyes to complete silence. That was the first ship lost in the battle. Would you like me to continue with the other 1,999? A synthetic intelligence representative, their holographic form shimmering with calculations, spoke up. This level of detail retention should be impossible for organic minds, even with technological assistance. The neural load would be overwhelming. Sarah finished. It is. Every human commander who uses the interface knows the cost. We choose to bear it anyway. Why? The question came from an unexpected source. A junior delegate from the collective itself, their crystalline form vibrating with genuine curiosity. Sarah turned to face them directly. Because warfare should never be easy. Because every life we take should matter. Because someone needs to remember. The Mediator's energy form pulsed awfully. You stand ready to recite the details of 2,000 destroyed ships, not for tactical analysis or military record, but as an act of remembrance. Yes, Sarah's voice carried the weight of her purpose. My neural interface didn't just help me win the battle. It ensures I will carry the cost of that victory forever. Every ship, every life, every decision. They're all part of me now. And I'm here to share that burden with the Assembly, so you understand exactly what happened at Proxima's Edge. The chamber remained silent as the implications settled over the gathered representatives. Sarah stood straight, her posture perfect, ready to begin her testimony. In her mind, 2,000 ships waited to be acknowledged, 2,000 stories waited to be told, and one human stood ready to remember them all. 3 months earlier, Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HFS Dauntless, watching the first collective ships emerge from hyperspace. They appeared like crystalline snowflakes against the void, their angular forms refracting starlight in impossible patterns. Her neural interface hummed as it began cataloging each vessel's unique signature. "Sensor analysis complete, Admiral," Lieutenant Park reported from his station. "We're tracking 700 initial contacts. Their hull composition doesn't match anything in our database." Sarah nodded, feeling the information flow through her neural link. Each ship possessed subtle variations in its crystalline structure, like fingerprints written in starlight. "Open a channel on all frequencies. Let's see if they're here to talk." The communications officer, Rodriguez, worked her console with practiced efficiency. "Channel open, Admiral. Broadcasting First Contact Protocol 7. The standard greeting echoed across space in every known language, carrying humanity's hope for peaceful dialogue. Sarah watched the tactical display as the crystalline ships arranged themselves in a perfect geometric pattern, their movements synchronized with mathematical precision. Her neural interface pinged with an incoming transmission. The bridge crew tensed as alien characters scrolled across their screens, the translation matrix struggling to decode the complex language. "Error is systemic," the message finally read. "Individuality creates discord. We bring harmony. Accept integration." Sarah's hands tightened on the command rail. "Send our response. Explain that humanity welcomes dialogue but will maintain its independence." The collective's reply came instantly. "Independence is the root of chaos. Resistance perpetuates error." More ships began emerging from hyperspace, their crystalline forms blocking out the stars. Sarah's neural interface recorded each new arrival, building a catalog of potential threats. The tactical display showed human colonies scattered throughout the sector, millions of lives under her protection, with only a small defensive fleet at her disposal. "Admiral," Park's voice carried a note of urgency. "Energy readings from the collective fleet are spiking. They're charging weapons." Sarah's training took over. "Battle stations. Alert all colonies to begin emergency protocols, and get me a direct neural link to every ship in the fleet." The familiar sensation of multiple connections flooded her mind as she synchronized with her commanders. Through their shared network, she felt each ship's readiness, each crew's determination. The neural interface transformed raw data into intuitive understanding, showing her exactly where each vessel needed to be. "Collective vessels launching fighters," Park reported. "Detecting crystalline projectiles. They're using weaponized versions of their own hull material." Sarah watched through multiple perspectives as the first wave of crystal shards streaked toward the human fleet. Her neural interface highlighted patterns in the attack formation, revealing the rigid mathematical nature of collective tactics. "They fight like a computer program," she realized aloud. "Perfect, predictable, and utterly inflexible. All ships, execute maneuver pattern Delta 9. Let's show them how humans dance." The human fleet moved as one, each ship following its commander's lead while adapting to local conditions. Sarah felt every course correction, every tactical decision made by her captains. The neural interface wove their actions into a coherent strategy, turning individual initiatives into coordinated response. Crystal shards screamed past human ships that should have been too slow to evade. Point defense lasers found weak spots in supposedly perfect formations. The collective's mathematical precision proved useless against human unpredictability. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. Her neural interface recorded every destroyed enemy vessel, every lost fighter, building a memorial of light and shadow in her enhanced memory. Through the command network, she felt her crew's mix of determination and fear, their very humanity becoming their greatest weapon against the collective's cold efficiency. "They want to eliminate individual consciousness," she broadcast to her fleet. "Today, we show them why that would be their greatest mistake. Every ship, every crew member, every decision matters. Remember that we fight not just for survival, but for the right to remain beautifully, perfectly human." The crystalline ships advanced in their flawless formations, unaware that their greatest weakness was their inability to understand why humans chose the chaos of individuality over the perfection of unity. Sarah Chen and her fleet prepared to teach them that lesson, one impossible victory at a time. Sarah's neural interface highlighted another impossible opportunity as she studied the battlefield through her fleet's combined sensors. The collected ships maintained their perfect crystalline formations, each vessel exactly 23 kilometers from its neighbors. To their mathematical minds, this represented optimal combat spacing. To human eyes, it was a pattern begging to be broken. Engineering reports ready. Admiral, Lieutenant Park announced from his station. All ships have completed the modifications. Through the neural link, Sarah felt her fleet's anticipation. In the 2 weeks since first contact, her crews had transformed their vessels in ways the original designers never imagined. Sensor arrays became impromptu weapon systems. Shield generators were recalibrated to project false signatures. Every ship now carried a unique set of modifications, their very unpredictability becoming a weapon against the collective's rigid tactics. "Begin Operation Firefly," Sarah commanded, her words carrying through both verbal and neural channels. "Remember, timing is everything." The human fleet scattered in apparent disarray. Through her interface, Sarah coordinated their seemingly random movements, each ship's course precisely calculated to appear chaotic, while following her master plan. The collective took the bait, their crystalline vessels adjusting formation to trap the dispersing human ships. "They're charging their main weapons," Rodriguez reported from communications, detecting the same encryption patterns as before. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Execute Phase 2. 50 smaller human vessels activated their modified shield generators, projecting false sensor readings that made them appear to be heavily damaged. The collected ships responded exactly as predicted, moving to eliminate these seemingly vulnerable targets. "Now," Sarah broadcast, "light them up." The damaged ships suddenly reversed their shield polarity, turning the collective's own sensor beams back against them. Crystalline vessels reeled from the feedback, their perfect formation wavering for the first time. In that moment of confusion, the rest of the human fleet struck from multiple vectors. Sarah's neural interface burned with tactical data as her ships executed their attack runs. Each captain added their own flourish to the basic plan, turning standard combat maneuvers into works of improvised art. A destroyer rolled beneath enemy fire, its modified sensor array broadcasting false targets. A cruiser charged straight through a crystalline formation, its reconfigured shield generators creating a wake of disruption that shattered enemy coordination. Collective ships attempting to regroup, Park announced. They're adapting their formations. Through the neural link, Sarah felt her crew's responses forming before she even gave the order. Implement random modifications. Don't let them predict our patterns. Human ingenuity surged through the fleet. Each ship began varying its tactics, crews making split-second adjustments to their modified systems. A patrol craft turned its communication array into an improvised electronic warfare platform. A supply vessel used its cargo tractors to redirect enemy fire. The neural interface wove these individual innovations into a coherent strategy that no single mind could have devised. The collective's response came swiftly. More ships emerging from hyperspace, their crystalline forms gleaming with cold purpose. Sarah's interface cataloged each new arrival, adding them to her growing memory of the conflict. But she also noted something else: subtle changes in the enemy's previously perfect formations. They're learning, she realized aloud. Not just adapting their tactics, but actually beginning to understand unpredictability. Lieutenant Rodriguez turned from her station. "Is that a problem, Admiral?" Sarah shook her head, feeling the fleet's confidence through the neural link. "No, it's exactly what we wanted. They're starting to think like individuals, even if they don't realize it yet." Through the interface, she initiated the next phase of her strategy. The human fleet regrouped in an irregular pattern that mimicked the apparent chaos of nature. Each ship found its place not through mathematical precision, but through intuition and experience. "Send the collective a message," Sarah ordered. Tell them. True harmony isn't found in perfect unity, but in the beautiful complexity of individual notes coming together by choice. As her words reached across space, the human fleet prepared to demonstrate exactly what that philosophy meant in combat. The upcoming battle would not be won by superior numbers or advanced technology, but by the uniquely human ability to find strength and diversity and power in unpredictability. The tactical display aboard the HFS Dauntless transformed into a sea of crystalline signatures as the collective's central fleet arrived. Sarah's neural interface processed each new contact, recording their unique resonance patterns like snowflakes in her memory. 2,000 ships, each one a masterpiece of geometric perfection, emerged from hyperspace in a formation that resembled a blooming crystal flower. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. Collective fleet measuring approximately 400 kilometers in diameter. Their energy readings are off the charts. Sarah stood at the command station, feeling the mix of awe and determination from her crew through the neural link. For 3 weeks, they had bloodied the collective's nose with hit-and-run attacks. Now the enemy had committed their main force, bringing enough firepower to shatter a planet. "Send to all ships," she ordered. "Execute Protocol Midnight." Through her neural interface, Sarah felt her fleet respond. Crews moved with practiced efficiency, shutting down non-essential systems and activating the modifications they had prepared for this moment. Each ship became a ghost, barely detectable against the backdrop of space. Lieutenant Rodriguez worked her communications console with delicate precision. "Message from the collective, Admiral. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through." The alien transmission filled the bridge. "Disharmony ends. Your resistance has proven the depth of your error. Accept integration or face dissolution." Sarah's neural interface pulsed as she accessed her carefully compiled database of enemy vessel signatures. Each collective ship possessed minute imperfections in its crystalline structure, invisible to standard sensors, but clear to her enhanced perception. She had spent every spare moment studying these patterns, understanding how they influenced each vessel's behavior. "They're deploying into attack formation," Park announced. "Multiple layers, spherical configuration. They're positioning to surround the colony." Through the neural link, Sarah shared tactical data with her fleet commanders. Every human vessel received detailed information about specific enemy ships, their weaknesses, their tendencies in combat. She had turned her perfect memory into a weapon, using the neural interface to distribute knowledge that could turn the tide. "The collective thinks in absolutes," she broadcast to her crews. "They see our individuality as a weakness, our adaptability as a flaw. They believe their perfect unity makes them invincible. Today, we prove them wrong." The massive enemy fleet continued its advance, crystal ships moving in mesmerizing patterns. Sarah's interface highlighted the mathematical precision of their movements, each ship following exactly the same protocols as its neighbors. But she also saw what the collective couldn't, how that very perfection made them predictable. "Admiral," Rodriguez called out, "we're detecting power spikes across their fleet. They're charging weapons." Sarah nodded, feeling the readiness of her crews through the neural link. "All ships maintain Protocol Midnight. Let them come to us." The bridge crew worked in focused silence as the enemy closed in. Sarah's enhanced memory recalled every engagement with the collective. Every lesson learned, every pattern observed. Through the neural interface, she felt the collective experience of her fleet, each crew contributing their unique insights to her overall strategy. "They're following the same attack patterns we've observed," she noted, watching the tactical display. "Even with 2,000 ships, they can't break free of their programming." Lieutenant Park looked up from his station. "Collective fleet will enter weapons range in 3 minutes. We're outnumbered 10 to 1. Admiral." "Numbers aren't everything, Lieutenant." Sarah's voice carried absolute conviction. "We've spent weeks preparing for this moment. Every ship in our fleet knows exactly which enemy vessels they're assigned to engage. Every crew understands their role and what's coming. The neural interface hummed with shared purpose as Sarah addressed her fleet one final time. The collective believes they're about to witness the end of human resistance. Instead, they're going to learn why humanity's greatest strength isn't in our technology or our numbers, but in our ability to turn their perfect order into perfect chaos. The first shots from the collective fleet transformed space into a crystalline storm. Shards of weaponized crystal streaked through the void, their patterns so precise they formed geometric art. But Sarah had positioned her ships exactly where the enemy's mathematical perfection worked against them. Neutron star gravitational lens aligned, Lieutenant Park reported. Radiation levels within predicted parameters. Through her neural interface, Sarah felt her fleet's synchronized response. The human ships had hidden themselves in the radiation shadow of a neutron star, using its intense gravitational field to bend both light and space. To the collective sensors, the scattered human fleet appeared to be everywhere and nowhere. Execute Phase 1, Sarah commanded. Her neural link carried not just the order but the precise timing required for each ship's role in the coming dance. 20 destroyers emerged from their hiding spots, their modified shields refracting the neutron star's radiation into blinding beams. The collective's crystalline ships, optimized to channel and redirect energy, caught the full force of the focused radiation. Fracture lines appeared in their perfect formations as they attempted to adapt. Multiple enemy ships showing structural stress, Rodriguez announced. Their crystalline matrices are destabilizing. Sarah's interface recorded each enemy vessel's unique resonance as they began to break apart. The first casualties of her strategy were collective ships designated 2187 Beta through 2192 Beta, their destruction sending cascading failures through nearby vessels. She felt the weight of each loss add to her mental archive. Phase 2, she ordered, her voice steady despite the growing burden of memory. All ships, execute your assigned sequences. The human fleet erupted into action. Cruisers launched modified torpedoes that used the neutron star's gravity to achieve impossible trajectories. Frigates projected false sensor ghosts that drew enemy fire into their own formations. Each human ship acted according to careful planning while adapting to the changing battlefield. The collective's response came as sheets of crystalline projectiles, turning space into a lethal kaleidoscope. But Sarah had memorized their attack patterns, and her neural interface distributed targeting solutions faster than the enemy could adjust their tactics. Enemy fleet attempting to reposition, Park called out. They're trying to break free of the gravitational lens effect. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Initiate resonance cascade. Through the neural link, she coordinated the next phase of her strategy. Human ships began broadcasting specific frequencies, each targeted at the unique crystalline signature of their assigned enemy vessels. The collective's perfect formations became their undoing as the synchronized vibrations traveled from ship to ship. Structural failures cascading through their fleet, Rodriguez reported. Their attempts to maintain formation are amplifying the effect. Sarah's enhanced memory recorded it all. The precise frequency that shattered Dreadnought 1138 Delta, the exact moment when Cruiser Squadron 447 lost cohesion, the final transmission from Battleship 995 Gamma as its crystalline core destabilized. Each destruction wrote itself into her consciousness with perfect clarity. The battle transformed into a symphony of light and shadow. Human ships danced through the chaos they had created, their apparently random movements following patterns too complex for the collective's mathematical minds to predict. The neutron star's radiation painted space in shades of blue and white, reflecting off crystal fragments like a stellar snowstorm. Admiral, Park's voice carried a note of awe. Enemy fleet cohesion is falling below 30%. Their command and control structure is breaking down. Through her interface, Sarah felt the tide turning. The collective's rigid formations dissolved into individual units trying to survive. Their perfect unity shattered not by superior firepower, but by humanity's ability to turn the enemy's strength into a weakness. Continue the attack, she ordered, each word carrying the weight of 2,000 ships' worth of memories yet to come. Show them that true strength lies not in perfect formation, but in perfect adaptation. The neutron star's light caught the destruction of the collective fleet, turning each shattered vessel into a brief, brilliant constellation. And Sarah Chen's neural interface recorded every moment, building a memorial of light and shadow that would stay with her forever. Crystal fragments drifted through space like frozen stars, all that remained of the collective's mighty fleet. Sarah stood at the command station of the Dauntless, her neural interface processing the aftermath of the battle. Each piece of debris carried a signature that matched an entry in her perfect memory, transforming the battlefield into a graveyard of familiar ghosts. Final damage assessment coming in. Lieutenant Park reported, his voice hoarse from 6 hours of continuous combat. Collective forces have been completely neutralized. No surviving ships detected within sensor range. The bridge crew maintained their professional demeanor, but Sarah felt their mixed emotions through the neural link. Pride in their victory warred with exhaustion and the sobering weight of such wholesale destruction. They had won, but the cost would echo through history. Send to all ships, Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the growing pressure in her mind. Stand down from combat stations. Begin recovery operations for damaged vessels. Through her interface, she felt the fleet's collective exhale as the order propagated. The neural link carried fragments of celebration from various ships, crews allowing themselves to finally acknowledge their impossible victory. But Sarah couldn't join them. Not yet. Her enhanced memory continued cataloging the battlefield, recording every detail for posterity. Admiral Rodriguez called from communications. We're receiving congratulations from the Colonial Defense Command. They're requesting casualty figures from both sides. Sarah closed her eyes, accessing the perfect record stored in her neural interface. We lost 17 ships, with 42 severely damaged. Total personnel casualties: 238 confirmed dead, 512 wounded. She paused, feeling the weight of each number. The collective lost 2,000 ships, with estimated crew complement of. She stopped, the full impact of the numbers finally hitting her. Through the neural interface, she felt her crew's concern as her vital signs spiked. The human mind was never meant to process destruction on this scale with perfect clarity. Admiral. Lieutenant Park stepped closer, worry evident in his voice. Medical teams are standing by if you need them. Sarah shook her head, forcing herself to maintain composure. I'm fine, Lieutenant. The neural interface is just processing. But it was more than simple data processing. Each destroyed ship in her memory carried not just tactical information, but the full sensory experience of its final moments. She remembered the exact frequency of Crystal Dreadnought 1729 Alpha's death scream, the precise pattern of fractures that spread across Battle Group 7's formation, the last desperate maneuver attempted by Scout Squadron 23. Begin compiling after-action reports, she managed, gripping the command rail for support. I want full documentation of all innovative tactics employed by our ships. The collective may have been defeated here, but they'll adapt. We need to be ready. The bridge crew returned to their duties, but Sarah felt their sideways glances. Through the neural link, she sensed their growing understanding of the burden their admiral carried. Victory had come at a price, and she would be paying it with every perfect memory. Lieutenant Rodriguez broke the quiet tension. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the surviving collective ships beyond the system's edge. Sarah straightened, pushing aside the weight of memory. Put it through. The alien message scrolled across her neural interface. Error in assessment detected. Individual consciousness generates unpredicted strengths. Request diplomatic contact for analysis of human cognitive patterns. A small smile crossed Sarah's face despite the pounding in her head. Send reply. Understanding comes with a price. Are you prepared to learn what it means to remember? As the message transmitted across space, Sarah finally allowed herself to feel the full scope of what they had accomplished. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged victorious not through superior numbers or technology, but through their willingness to carry the burden of memory. The neural interface pulsed steadily at the base of her skull, each beat adding to the weight of 2,000 perfect memories that would stay with her until the day she died. The stars continued their eternal dance around the battlefield, indifferent to the epic struggle that had just concluded. But Sarah Chen would remember. She would remember it all. The grand assembly of worlds fell into deeper silence as Sarah began her recitation. Her neural interface pulsed with a soft blue light, each beat marking another memory brought forth with perfect clarity. Crystal Dreadnought 1138 Alpha, she began, her voice carrying through the vast chamber. Command crew of 15. Hull resonance frequency matched exactly to C-sharp minor. Destroyed at 3:42 hours standard time when their shield harmonics failed under focused neutron radiation. The mediator's energy form flickered with interest. Admiral Chen, there are more efficient ways to present this data. We have quantum computers that could process these statistics in microseconds. Sarah's eyes remained focused on middle distance, seeing events only she could recall. Battle Cruiser 2219 Gamma. Crew Complement 23. Their crystalline matrix showed unique imperfections in the upper port quadrant. Final maneuver attempted to protect their squadron leader. Destroyed at 3:47 hours. Through her neural interface, she felt the growing unease in the chamber. The alien representatives shifted in their seats, their various physiologies displaying signs of discomfort. This wasn't the sterile military report they had expected. Scout Frigate 1871 Beta. She continued, each word carrying the weight of perfect memory. Crew of 8. Their engine signature had a distinctive harmonic that reminded me of wind through crystal caves. They tried to retreat when their formation broke. Destroyed at 3:51 hours. Admiral. The cephalid representative interrupted, their tentacles writhing with agitation. You cannot possibly expect to recite details for all 2,000 ships. Sarah turned to face them directly. Actually, that's exactly what I intend to do. Every ship, every crew, every moment. Because that's what the neural interface means. That's what human warfare demands, not just victory, but remembrance. The synthetic intelligence delegate's holographic form pulsed with rapid calculations. The processing power required for such detailed recall would exceed most quantum systems. How does your organic mind manage the load? Scout Group 793. Sarah responded, returning to her recitation. 12 ships, each with a crew of 6. Their formation was an exact duplicate of crystalline molecular structures. They died trying to maintain perfect symmetry, even as their ships broke apart. Destroyed between 3:55 and 3:57 hours. Hours passed as Sarah continued her testimony. The assembly representatives came and went, but she remained standing, each memory flowing into the next with unbroken precision. Her neural interface maintained its steady rhythm, marking time as she constructed a monument of words. Battleship 1567 Delta, she recited, her voice never wavering. Crew of 37. Their crystal matrix contained trace elements that gave their hull a bluish tinge. Final transmission was a request for targeting data, destroyed at 7:34 hours when their own weapons fire was reflected back by modified human shields. The mediator's energy form dimmed and brightened in a pattern suggesting deep thought. This level of detail serves no tactical purpose. Why do you insist on this method of testimony? Sarah paused, her hand touching the neural interface at the base of her skull. Because numbers can lie. Statistics can hide truth. But memory, perfect, unblinking memory, forces us to confront the reality of our actions. This isn't just data. This is witness. Through her interface, she felt the subtle shift in the chamber's atmosphere. The alien representatives began to understand that this wasn't a military briefing or a victory celebration. It was a requiem, delivered by someone who would carry these memories until the day she died. Heavy Cruiser 1992 Epsilon. She resumed, each word another stone in her memorial. Crew of 27. Their crystal structure contained impossibly perfect symmetry, making them a flagship among their kind. They fought until the end, maintaining formation even as their hull fractured. Destroyed at 7:42 hours. The stars wheeled slowly outside the assembly's crystal dome as Sarah Chen continued her testimony, turning cold statistics into living memory, transforming tactical data into testament. Through her neural interface, she felt the weight of each ship's final moments, bearing witness to the true cost of victory. Light Cruiser 2000 Omega, Sarah concluded, her voice carrying the same strength it had held 26 hours earlier. Final ship in the collective fleet, crew of 18. Their crystal matrix bore traces of stellar formation, making their hull shimmer like captured starlight. Destroyed at 9:23 hours when their command structure finally collapsed. The Grand Assembly sat in profound silence as her last words echoed through the chamber. The neural interface at the base of her skull pulsed steadily, 1,000 lifetimes of memory contained within its circuits. She had named them all, every ship, every crew, every moment of destruction preserved in perfect clarity. The mediator's energy form rippled with complex patterns before speaking. In all the history of the assembly, we have never witnessed testimony like this. You chose to carry this burden. Why? Sarah's hand touched the neural interface gently. Because this is how humans wage war. Not with detached efficiency, but with full awareness of its cost. The interface doesn't just make us better commanders. It makes us witnesses. The synthetic intelligence delegate's holographic form expanded with sudden understanding. You have transformed military data into cultural memory. Each ship's destruction becomes not just a tactical event, but a story preserved in living consciousness. Yes, Sarah nodded. The collective sought to eliminate individual consciousness because they saw it as a source of chaos. But they never understood that our individuality, our ability to remember and feel and choose, is what makes us strong. Through her neural interface, she felt the subtle shift in the chamber's atmosphere as understanding spread among the assembled species. This wasn't just about military victory or technological advantage. It was about the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. The cephalid representative's tentacles formed complex patterns of contemplation. The neural interface technology, it was not designed as a weapon, was it? No, Sarah confirmed. It was designed to ensure that we never forget the weight of our decisions. Every human commander who links with their fleet knows they'll carry the burden of every death, every destruction, every choice made in the heat of battle. The mediator's energy form pulsed with curiosity. And yet you continue to use it, knowing the psychological cost. A small smile crossed Sarah's face. We use it because of the cost. The interface reminds us that warfare should never be easy. Each memory it preserves becomes a reason to seek peace, to find better solutions, to understand those who think differently from us. The chamber erupted in overlapping translations as various species discussed the implications. Sarah stood quietly, feeling the weight of 2,000 perfect memories settling into their permanent place in her consciousness. Through the neural interface, she sensed the profound impact her testimony had made on the assembled representatives. The collective sought perfection through unity, she continued, her voice cutting through the discussion. They saw our individuality as a flaw to be corrected, but they never understood that true strength comes not from eliminating differences, but from choosing to stand together despite them. The mediator's form stabilized into a pattern indicating formal recognition. Admiral Chen, your testimony will be preserved in the Assembly's archives as more than a military record. It stands as a testament to an essential truth about consciousness itself. Sarah nodded, feeling the neural interface pulse in harmony with her heartbeat. We are not strong despite our individuality. We are strong because of it. Every ship I remembered today, every crew member whose final moments I carried here, they died trying to impose perfect unity. Instead, they became part of a perfect memory, preserved not in cold data, but in living mind. As the assembly session concluded, Sarah felt the first rays of the rising sun break through the crystal dome above. The light caught the tears in her eyes, transforming them into miniature stars. Through her neural interface, she felt the weight of memory that she would carry forever, not as a burden, but as a testament to the price of peace and the true strength of human consciousness. The next war would not be fought with ships and weapons alone, but with understanding born from perfect memory. And Sarah Chen had shown the galaxy that humanity's greatest weapon was not their ability to destroy, but their choice to remember.